Hey there, I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Dusty.
From Dad's Doing Nerd Shit.
A podcast on the Fandom Limb Media Network.
We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff.
From Dungeons and Dragons to the MCU.
From video games to semi-current space news.
And anything else that catches our attention.
New episodes go live every Monday morning on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
So roll the dice and join us as we discuss the things we love and the culture around being a nerd.
Hello everyone, Screenplay Archaeology host KiramidHead here. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to get some intro stuff out of the way. First things first, we are now part of the Fandom Limb Media Podcast Network, so I'm going to link their site down below. And that's why you would have just heard a promo for another podcast, because they're another one of the shows on the network. And as per usual, if you like the show and you'd like to know more, you can check out our social media pages on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and even Instagram now. The show also has a Patreon if you're willing to gift money, but you don't really need to if you don't want to. And we also have a Discord server, which you can join if you want to chat with, the group members there. So that link is going to be down below as well. So yeah, sit back, guys, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Screenplay Archaeology Podcast. I'm your host, KiramidHead.
And I am not your host, Jake, from Hot Quality Content, frequent, quote-unquote, frequent flying guest on this show.
Semi-frequent. You're the adequate co-host.
Adequate. You know me. I have a soft spot for Monster Mash-related content, so here I am.
And you commentated on all the Universal Monster movies, dear God.
Every single one. That was like a big portion of my life. Just years on end commentating. And the thon is still on, the quote unquote. So that means that when Renfield or Voyage of the Demeter comes out, we're definitely going to watch those as well. So here we go.
I think Renfield actually has a release date, whereas I don't think Demeter does.
Well, maybe by the time you upload this, they'll announce a trailer and release it tomorrow on Netflix.
Yeah, fuck. I'm actually looking forward to Demeter. I think that's going to be good. But
me too. I think it's going to be better than Renfield. I have skepticism about Renfield.
I have zero expectations about Renfield.
Well, good. That's not a bad thing, then.
I expect Nick Cage to be fun.
Yes.
I don't know anything else. I think the look is good. He looks like Lugosi. I like the fact that the clapboard they showed Renfield was in the Dracula font.
Yeah, I know that when they put that up, you were like, dude, did you see? And I was like, yeah, I saw.
But no, to get back to the point, we're going to have to rewind our clocks to 2003, when the hottest shit in Hollywood, let alone Universal, was Stephen Sommers' The Mummy and The Mummy Returns.
Yep. This script, the first draft of the script, is almost on my birthday. I was approximately 7, right? 1, 2, 3, yeah.
And you had no idea that your favorite movie ever was about to come out in the next May.
First of all, it's not my favorite movie ever, but it is one of my favorites.
It's not The Matrix.
It's not indeed The Matrix, but Van Helsing, for those of you new to this show, or maybe you haven't heard my voice on Screenplay Archaeology yet, but Van Helsing is a movie that I will passionately defend. Unironically, I am the self-proclaimed biggest fan of 2004's Van Helsing on the internet, and nobody's challenged me for that title, so I'll just happily accept it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I made a video essay about it, too. It is on my channel called Why Van Helsing is Absolutely Fantastic. So if you want any reason why I sound so insane saying that, that's your 12 minutes and 13 whatever seconds why.
Okay, yeah, to give you an idea, if you've not seen his Van Helsing commentary that he did on his channel, Jake says in that, he says, in my heart it's a 10. But as a critic, 7 or 8.
I did something along those lines. I probably bumped that up from recent memory. They were so down on it, though. They were just in the poopy. Again, it didn't work for them. It didn't work for the majority of critics. Roger Ebert likes it. I fucking hold that true, baby. Let's go. I got the best critic in the world on my side. Take that, the world.
He also liked Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Fair. Fair. But my man's is regarded as the top tier man, so, he doesn't go with an opinion lightly. So, everybody.
Yeah. Now, to get us sort of on track as to what we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at what was supposed to be allegedly a spin-off of Van Helsing. It was going to be a TV show called Transylvania that was due to be coming out, the next fall season after the Van Helsing movie. And to give you the summary, and I'm just going to read this right out of the Variety article. It says it will revolve around two warring families, both of whom have monstrous genes, which is a weird way to describe it. Makes it sound like Underworld. Trying to navigate between these two families is a sheriff who has the unenviable task of trying to maintain peace.
Yeah, no, that is a technically accurate way of describing it. It just definitely does not let on to what the script actually is.
No, not at all. And so this was commissioned basically because it looks like from reading the article that Universal was just like trying to be really forward thinking and like exploit the potential success of Van Helsing as much as they possibly could. And they were shopping it to NBC, which was just about to become the same thing as Universal in a merger. It hadn't happened yet.
Oh, they weren't together yet? That makes sense.
They were like just about to come together.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder if they were already together, they probably would have greenlit it ahead of time. And then when nobody liked Van Helsing, they'd have to release this.
Or it could be just like a spite production like in Humans.
Yeah. Oh, good God.
But no, they're talking about all this stuff like, oh, we're going to do it. And it's interesting because the first Stephen Sommers Mummy movie had no hype around it. It had no tie-ins at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I don't even think they were expecting anything from it. They came out and was a huge hit. And then suddenly Mummy Returns had like all this shit, like the animated series spun off from Mummy Returns.
Mm-hmm.
There was like video games. It got its own roller coaster, which is actually pretty good. I've only been on it once, but
I've never been.
I don't even know if it's still there. They might have knocked it down by now.
Yeah, no, they I don't know. Universal always changes their stuff, but I've never been to horror Hollywood, anything like that. I really want to. I'm debating going this year. Legends Collide looks pretty fun, but I don't know, back and forth on it.
I've been to the Orlando one. I'm still kind of pissed that they got rid of the Jaws ride to put in another Harry Potter attraction. When
yeah,
they
but
already
what sells?
had one.
What sells today, KiramidHead? Come on.
And they knocked down Terminator 2 to put in the Jason Bourne ride like 7 years after that series stopped being relevant.
What sells? Definitely not Jason Bourne today.
No, the 2016 movie did nothing.
Yeah, I know. Didn't they make one after that? No, that was the latest one.
That was the last one. It was just called Jason Bourne.
That's
and
right.
that's really, this is, I'm going to take a minute to say this. I don't want to stay on it at all.
Sure.
The Jason Bourne movies were like trailblazers when they first started coming out.
Sure, yeah.
The 2016 Jason Bourne was doing shit that like every other spy movie had already done.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of ripped off. This is weird to say. It ripped off itself. It's kind of just doing exactly what it was doing earlier. But yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But no, there was a roller coaster. There was a series of like young adult books that spun off from Mummy Returns, which I read like 4 of them, and it kind of ended in the 4th book anyways. And the first book was like, oh no, the Scorpion King is back and looking for revenge.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it was like the kid is now older and he wants to like train to become one of the Magi and stuff like that. And then they tell him to fuck off in the 4th book because they don't like a choice he made.
Yeah, exactly. Makes no sense.
No, the first book was actually Scorpion King is back and he has teamed up with Nazis.
Oh, good. Yeah, that totally tracks. Yep, because
and he's
that's
still
in continuity.
He's still in CG Dwayne Johnson form.
Well, at least in a book, you can't describe it as being under-rendered. You can just say he looks like a big scorpion half man. And
I mean, it's because Nemo hadn't invented rendering yet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that is a deep cut, my friend. Nobody's gonna get that.
No, nobody is unless they watch your channel.
Exactly. Which, hey, what the hell, guys? Watch hot quality content. It's the best channel ever, except of course for Screenplay Archaeology. But it actually is the best channel ever.
Yeah, the link's gonna be below.
Hell yeah.
But also, this really does seem like they were trying to make up for lost time with like the lack of like exploitation they did for the Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
this leads us into the script, which is a first draft dated November 14th, 2003. And it's interesting that they decided to go with Transylvania instead of Van Helsing Origins Transylvania, which that's a pun on another Hugh Jackman thing.
Yeah, I just got that. Sorry, you had to explain that for me to actually get that. But I was a little confused too. Does the script set itself in a time, or is this just kind of now?
It's 19th century.
19th. Okay, so this is in the same time period as Van Helsing.
Yes, it is, and because the main character is a cowboy.
It's just a man wearing a cowboy who's stereotypically from Texas. I mean, I don't know. I thought he was always like just a clown, you know.
But no, there's like horse-drawn carriages and stuff, and they do say 19th century in a couple places.
Do they?
I don't think they give a specific year. Not that it matters, because there's negative continuity with this in Van Helsing.
I was gonna say, you know, it's funny. I was about to point out that, like, okay, well, this could be a follow-up to Van Helsing if it was modern day, which is like at this point, like over 100 years later. This is the families of the people related to people, which kind of makes sense better. But if it's literally like roughly same time period, yeah, I don't think this tracks at all. Because, and we'll get into why, but like, it can't. You know what? Fuck it. Like, nobody's even gonna care. But like, how on earth? Because if Dracula dies at the end of Van Helsing, all the vampires bitten by Dracula exploded, just like the book Dracula. Like, is this before Van Helsing's events? Because there are vampires like vibing that are connected to the Dracula bloodline, and it's the same bloodline because, and I hate to go off on this, but Dragulia is the full legal name of Dracula in Van Helsing, which is like the dumbest thing. So that means they're part of that family. So
it's Count Ladislas Dragulia.
Dragulia. Yeah, he says it all funny. But this is that family, which is why I thought this was like way later. Like maybe it's just descendants that somehow have resemblance to them, maybe. But no, it's literally just completely unrelated. And I don't think it makes much sense at all. If it is going to be a quote spinoff, it's literally just like an alternate thing this could have happened. I always interpreted it as like, hey, you know, I wrote this in Van Helsing at around the same time, so if, you know, Van Helsing doesn't take off, maybe I can greenlight this and continue the story that way or something. But it doesn't even fit. So
yeah, it fits even less than the animated prequel does.
Yeah.
Because that has tons of glitches in it.
That doesn't really track much because, like, literally, like, Friar Carl says he's not a field man in Van Helsing, even though the animated show, he's very much a field man. Like, he was in the field the whole show. So
yeah, he's a field man, and, like, Dr. Jekyll has satanic magic?
Yeah, that does not come up in the movie at all. So, but, yeah. No, it's kind of silly.
The novelization doesn't acknowledge it.
No, not at all. Why would it?
But to get into Transylvania.
Yeah.
So because this is a TV pilot script, and it's the first TV episode thing I've ever done.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, I'm so glad to break you in this way.
Yeah, I did. Oh, jeez, thank you. That sounded so wrong.
It didn't mean to be. I could have said something that sounded more wrong than that, but I said that instead, and it still sounded wrong.
And I did do the Return of the Thing Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing, which was actually really good. But that was written like a movie script anyways, so.
Oh, yeah, fair.
But so yeah, this has like a teaser and 4 acts. So we have a teaser, which opens in Transylvania as a mysterious girl whose face is unseen aside from like a random close-up on her eyes, dashes into the courtyard of a derelict castle, shutting and barring the gate. And a dark shape leaps over the wall, which is specified in the script as a boo scare.
Yeah, big boo scare. You forgot the verbiage there.
The big boo scare.
Big boo scare.
Which, it's weird because his movies don't really have jump scares in them.
They do in the goofy sense, where it's like, you know, just somebody yelling really quickly. You know what I mean?
Screaming at the mummy.
Yeah, literally. They have like some kind of like in-your-face wacky hijinks, you know?
And she flees into a nearby mill house, which it's weird why that's inside a castle.
Hey, look, you know, rich people, they put whatever they want in their damn castles. They're rich. They can.
It's a giant Millhouse head.
Yeah, I guess so.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Oh, no.
And so the shape is joined by 4 more, and they are revealed to be 5 Eastern European men, and the way they are described, it's like the stereotypical image you have of like people from Eastern Europe.
Yep, this is how
Like-
movies treated them, and still kind of treat them.
Like big, bearded, muscly.
Tough guys, like what you'd think a biker gang would be.
Yeah. And so the girl climbs into a loft to hide, and we get POV shots from the men, where it's a kind of night vision in which a rat appears as a bundle of veins. So this does track from Van Helsing. It's the Batman Arkham vision.
It definitely tracks from Van Helsing. It's the Batman Arkham vision. Van Helsing had a high budget. I doubt this would.
Yeah, TV budget in 03.
Yeah, that was like they were absolute crap back then. They're kind of crap now, but they're super crap back then. And like the scripts, as you're gonna continue talking, like there's gonna be loads of CGI or really underwhelming makeup and costumes, which you can't really pull off complicated makeup with limited shooting schedules like that. It's like very, very regimented, so it wouldn't make any sense. I see why they passed on it.
Yeah, and so the girl finds 2 doors in the loft and opens one, which creaks, getting the attention of the men, who spin around, revealing themselves to be pale-fanged vampires, which for some reason they decide to spell with a Y.
Even though they don't again? Pretty sure?
They do it throughout the whole thing.
Huh.
Now, I don't have the Van Helsing script open to see how he spells it there, but I'm willing to bet he doesn't.
I mean, it's not in continuity anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. And they soon arrive upstairs and find the 2 doors. They pick one that leads to a kitchen, and they open the door, and there's a huge werewolf inside holding a chair, breaks off its legs and uses them as weapons, so this is a very smart werewolf.
Yes, it is.
And it dispatches the 5 vampires with relative ease off screen, their skeletons getting thrown out the window as we hear the werewolves howl. So,
I like how he it's implied that like he's in the middle of fighting them and then just howls, because like every creature just howls just out of nowhere, and like it's very relevant to the fact that he just fought them.
It's a victory howl.
It's like woohoo, I did it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the kind of thing where like I feel like Stephen Sommers is cutting corners with the budget. Like, oh hey, you can produce this, we can show it off screen, but the fact of you putting a fucking werewolf on screen, like, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Not gonna look good. I'm telling you.
Yep. And so we go into Act 1, where it cuts to the Carpathian Mountains during the day, and we meet Riley Hannigan, a young roguish cowboy leading his horse Mabel past some frozen dead bodies and telling her a story about how he didn't kiss a girl but got beaten up anyways. So it's like, the moral is always kiss the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh really, James Bond, even when she doesn't want it.
I want to point out that in this scene, Riley just has an apple ready to go in his jacket. That's not okay. Like, did he just put that there? Or has it been there for a long time and it's like gross now? But if he just put it there, why did he pocket it if he's just going to eat it like a second later? It doesn't make any sense.
The weird details you picked out that I didn't even think of.
But who puts an apple in their jacket? I've never seen anybody in my life just have an apple.
It would ruin the lines in your jacket.
That, and it wouldn't be edible like an hour later. I don't know how long you plan on storing an apple, but whatever.
Okay.
What? I'm really up with that. I don't know what to tell you.
We're having the apple discussion.
We're damn right we're having the apple discussion.
Is that what God was talking about when he said don't eat the apple? He just didn't want them to put it in their fucking pockets.
Right. Because why would you? You'd have to be a crazy person. Like
because
they
were naked. Because they were naked, and there's only a couple places you could hide an apple when you're naked.
Literally one. Also, probably literally 0. I don't even think that's possible.
I'm not gonna delve into the details on that one.
All right, then let's continue.
But so it's later. They're moving through a forest when they're confronted by a group of gypsy bandits who don't believe that he crossed the mountains without help, and assume he's with a group called the Orloffs and can't be with the Dragulias because we are. And they would know if he was. Like, do they all like meet at the same time?
I kind of buy it in the sense that they're all vampires. Like, they would know who's a vampire with their like vampire powers.
Also, don't you have a king according to Van Helsing? Like,
yes.
Why would you be shacking in with the vampires?
Yes, and I was confused if like you're gonna get there, but nobody can possibly spoil a pilot that didn't get off the ground. There's a guy in a chair from the Dragulias who's like the king or whatever in that castle, And while reading it, he's Count Dracula. So I was like, okay, well, is this Dracula? Or
Nobody
is it,
knows.
like, it's so... I feel like he's in the shadows all the time and barely speaking because they didn't know at the time if, like, oh, well, can I actually is this going to be a spinoff, or am I going to rewrite this? Like, or, whatever. So
Yeah, I'm sure Richard Roxborough's schedule was that busy.
yeah, I'm sure that he was in high demand. It's funny you say that, but he really was in somewhat high demand. He was doing, like, Mission Impossible 2. He was doing League. He was doing some shit in that time period.
He was in Moulin Rouge.
He was the villain in, like, every film in, like, 2003.
He was the henchman in Mission Impossible 2.
Wasn't he the villain? I thought he was the villain.
No, he's the henchman who gets his pinky chopped off with the cigar cutter.
Oh, yeah, that's the only Mission Impossible I don't like.
Oh, it's the worst one. By
It's
far.
easily the worst one.
I was 8 when that movie came out, and I saw that in the theater, and I didn't like it then.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't blame you.
But speaking of an impossible mission, we have to go on with this. Okay, here's a weird aside where it's like, oh, no human being could possibly cross the Carpathians, even though throughout history the Carpathians have been crossed many, many times.
Sure.
It's like, oh yeah, there were some white bears there, but I took care of them and they tasted off. And it's like, you mean Yetis? So I'm like, oh God, there are no Yetis in the Carpathians.
That's not where they would be located. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless Van Helsing brought them with him when he left, because as it says in the movie, he was trained from Tibet to Istanbul. So unless they like followed him and then just kept going.
No, see, you're thinking about continuity. That this script don't have any of that. That not here. No matter how hard you try.
And so it's like, yeah, but no one could ever have done that. So they try to take Mabel, and Riley's like, hey, I'm going to kill you. And they don't back down. He pleads for them to stop, and the script says he's concerned for them, not himself. And he takes off his gun belt and drops it on the ground, saying he's just getting started. And that's where the scene ends.
Mm-hmm.
And was it obvious to you yet where this was going?
Oh, easy. Well, I didn't piece together that was a flash forward yet.
Oh, I didn't want to go there yet.
Oh, sorry. You can cut that out if you want.
Just whatever the heck.
I figured out what he was immediately. As soon as he like started saying please and like begging for their lives, I was like, oh. Bet, okay. I know.
Kill me.
Yeah. Oh, do you have any alcohol? But yeah, no, that was pretty obvious. And the script kind of goes on pretending that you don't know as an audience what he is yet. So
yeah. And so we cuts to a graveyard at night, which they were apparently planning on using like the still standing sets from Van Helsing for the town. So this would be the graveyard where they like see the Wolfman and the gravedigger tries to kill him for no reason.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't piece together that the Undertaker would be Top Hat from Van Helsing, or allegedly might have been.
I mean, he's the only character from Van Helsing in this who acts anything like a character from that movie, so...
Yeah, I guess so. But then it's, like, really dumb in the sense that I buy it either if you want to rewrite it and make it in continuity, or keep it as its own thing, but it's trying to do both. And it doesn't work as, like, oh, it's its own spin-off, it's different continuity, but then also, like, this guy is the same fucking guy. Like, no, he's not. But
we meet teenagers, Martina Orloff and Josef Dragulja.
Yep.
You have to say it super dramatic every time.
Dragulja. Otherwise, you're not saying it right.
They have met for a tryst, and we get a brief glimpse at the greater context from their discussion. The two families hate each other, and the Orloffs are witches or Wiccans, as Martina says once, and it never comes up again. And I hate to break it to you, but I don't think Wicca as a system existed until, like, the 1920s, but...
yeah.
What's a little anachronism between friends?
Yeah, exactly. And plus, like, Wiccan, witch, warlock, witchcraft, it all kind of means the same thing anyway. So, it's whatever.
And so, and he's saying, like, and, you know, and they're in love in a Romeo and Juliet way, etc. And I was reading this, and I was like, oh, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. And then the script goes, oh, it's Romeo and Juliet.
Dude, it didn't have to say that for me to be like, wow, you're just straight up doing Romeo and Juliet, because it's the exact same thing. Like, you better switch it up quick. And instead of switching it up quick, they kind of veer away from it, but we'll get there.
They don't really. Well, I mean, they gotta save stuff for other episodes.
I guess so. I can't bash too much on the fact that it's, starting things and not finishing them. That's,
And we get that, like, her sister and his brother, they're, like, the main enforcers for the families, and both would lose it if they knew, which is kind of dumb.
It doesn't make any sense.
Going by what happens later, but blah, blah, blah.
I want to chime in. I hate these overt descriptions of, like, sexy. Like, they cast TV shows in Hollywood. Hot people are always implied in a script, unless you specify that they're, like, a monster or something. But, like, when you're writing a script, time is money. You can't just waste pages and pages going, like, she walks in with big boobies and a big butt and the busty lips. It's like, shut up.
Also, they specified that she's 16, I think.
They do!
Oh, my God.
Yeah, there's so many layers to this. It just does not make any sense. But yeah, and then they exchange some cliche dialogue, and you're about to read some of it, I'm assuming.
I don't have the dialogue noted down.
Oh, well, you're at the part where
Riley shows up.
Riley shows. Okay, yeah, that's where you were. Okay, because we're gonna get to the older brother and sister.
Oh, that I know what scene you mean.
Oh God.
But so they are found by Riley, whose clothes are shredded, and he asks if this is Transylvania before passing out. I'm like, dude, if you come down from the mountains, you're already in Transylvania. It's not like a small place.
I kind of bought it as like a stupid kind of off comment because he makes a ton of those.
Yeah,
so,
true.
I love the line though. Like, what country are you from? Texas.
It's funny.
That's just my favorite. So
maybe he's coming. Maybe this is set in the time period where Texas was an independent country.
Oh, really? I think it's way funnier if that's not true.
Yeah, it's funnier if it's not.
It's fantastic. But I love how, like, he keeps giving different reasons to why he's here and why he's come here.
Yeah, and they never really settle on one.
No, yeah. Which is, again, like you were saying, it's fine because they're going to, it's obviously pilot episode, who cares? We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. And Yosef wants to kill him to keep their relationship a secret, but Martina talks him out of it. Man, Yosef went straight from Zero to Optimus Prime. Like, I'll kill you.
Straight up. Oh.
And so Riley comes to at dawn in fresh clothes, having been moved to the town stables by Martina and Yosef. He says, I'm from Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
And it's like, oh, your old clothes were torn to shreds and covered in blood, and it's not yours. And he tries to talk himself out of it, but before, this goes any further, time freezes around him and Mabel, but not the other two. And you think Mabel would be, like, really important, considering they thought to give the horse a name, and he spends, like, a whole page talking to it. I don't think Mabel comes back.
No, not really, no. Barely.
And Yosef recognizes this as the necrology.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's a spell the warlocks use to freeze time, which they explain way later.
And they don't even freeze time, they just freeze people.
Close enough.
Yeah, why not?
And he and Martina go to a chink in the stable wall to look outside. That is an actual word, I swear.
Yep, that's fair.
I didn't realize how that sounded until I said it out loud. But they see the villagers outside frozen as well, and 7 horsemen ride up, led by Martina's sister Katya, who once again is described as super hot.
Oh, yeah, Katya. Oh. She's a fucking cartoon character. Like, it's the worst.
I will say Katya is the closest this gets to, like, the brides in the movie.
Literally. And, like, the brides in the movie, for my experience of Van Helsing, they work in that context, but Stephen Sommers, like, quadruples down, and it's like he funneled all of the bad parts of them into one character. And, like, and now her whole thing is, like, I'm the prettiest ever, and if some person is also, like, moderately pretty, which everyone in the show is described as, like, an 11 out of 10, then I must kill them. It's like so. Oh my god, I can't stand it. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
At least there isn't a scene of her randomly standing in the background and posing.
Yeah, just being sad while almost screaming.
Yeah, and so they're like, "Ooh!"
Yeah.
But no, they move to escape out the back door, but have to hide from 5 pale riders, led by Yosef's brother, Prince Vladimir Dragulia.
Mm-hmm. And then we have some crushing dialogue that really just hits so soft. It's so corny and weird.
Yeah, who ride into town and come face to face with the Orloff riders.
Mm-hmm.
And Vladimir and Katya, they engage in pseudo-flirtatious arguing. And this is where... And they kind of explain that, like, the time freezing is a spell of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And do we want to go into the dialogue?
It's, it doesn't make any... Because, like, okay, you discover later on... Well, I shouldn't, spoil things. But
Yeah,
like,
let's not...
It's quasi-forgivable, I'll say. But at the same time, why would you even have these exchanges? And why does Vlad get so mad if he's already... Well, that's already happening. He shouldn't be mad at all. He should be like, oh, okay, well, we're just kind of fucking around. We're kind of playing everybody. But they're kind of not. He's getting visibly, like... He's not acting. She's pissing him off. So, whatever.
Okay, so I'm going... It's 17 if you enter it into the Acrobat Reader.
Got it right here.
Do you want to read Katya or should I?
Wait, hold on. So it's actually... So it says page 16 because it's on 17
Yes.
the Reader. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to be Vlad? You can Vlad it up. I'll be Katya.
Yeah, okay. Let's start with Katya's line.
All right, bet. How old are you, Vladimir?
112.
And to think, after all those years, maturity has still eluded you.
Okay, and so we're going to scroll down.
Yeah.
Okay, to the next page.
Oh, God. And what brings you to town? I didn't think you got out of bed before midnight.
You've been thinking of me in bed?
Yes, and you were completely naked.
Really?
Yes, and you were tied to the bedposts.
Really?
Yes, and you had a huge silver stake sticking out of your dead black heart.
I'm trying to literalize the description of Vladimir deflates.
It's such a stupid fucking scene. And, like, it doesn't make any sense. We'll get to why it doesn't make sense. But think about that spoiler that I'm not going to say. That makes it even weirder and dumber that anybody's deflating. Pump him back up with air, please. Like, it doesn't make any... But even if it did try and make any sense, it's still, like, the corniest possible way to write this. Like, I don't know. And also, okay, not even to spend too much time on this, but, like, let's say you are Vlad, and you're like, ooh, you've been doing this, and you've been thinking of this. Oh, really? 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 Like, obviously she's being a fucking asshole. Like, how are you this gullible? You're 112 years old, and you can't catch on when someone's, like, pulling your chain? Like, come on. But, it doesn't make any... I hate so much of that.
And the fact that he's Vladimir, but he's not Dracula.
He's not. He's Vladimir Dragulia, son of Count Dragulia, and neither of which are Count Dracula / Count Dragulia from Van Helsing Dragulia, even though they're both kind of Vlad Dracula, which is also Vlad Dragulia in Van Helsing. They're all kind of maybe Dracula, but also none of them are Dracula, if that makes any sense. And
basically, and we see that, Vladimir has an iron prosthetic hand in place of one he lost. Mm-hmm. And so the sun rises some more and breaks a time freezing slit. And Martina accidentally knocks over a kerosene lantern and sets the barn on fire. And the way it's written is just the most random, like, oh God, totally doing this on purpose, not really.
Yep. It's right when a character is asking, like, have you seen my sister? And she's like, oh, wow, what a perfect time for me to accidentally knock over a fucking lamp. Like, come on. The scene writing.
You don't have a magic spell that can put out the fire?
Of all the shit they have magic spells for. And also, it's established later in the script that, like, these not vampires, the warlocks and witches can, like, basically teleport or go really fast. So this should not be an issue.
And they do ride brooms.
They do ride brooms. There's so many ways out of this situation, and they just don't.
And so we also learn here that the Dragulias, they're vampires with a Y.
Sure.
Which I have only ever seen that spelling in, like, 2 other places.
Mm-hmm. I've only seen that spelling, I think, pre-Dracula. There was, like, a story called The Vampire.
Yeah, the Polidori story.
Right, but then when Dracula, the book, came out, and it just called it Vampire with an I, everyone just called it that.
And then there's the 70s remake of Nosferatu, where the English language version is called Nosferatu, the Vampire with a Y.
Yep. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think that was, I don't know, because Nosferatu, the movie, was very much trying to be, like, it literally is an adaptation of Dracula, just like, a legally safe knockoff.
Yeah, and then the remake actually uses the Dracula names.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because they can now. It's all fair use.
Yeah. And so Riley, now awake, well, the vampires, they have agreed to a truce to only hunt for prey outside of town. They just have a dead guy in a bag. And we learn later that they broke the truce anyways. So.
Yep, exactly.
But so Riley, now awake, he helps the lovers escape unseen by stampeding the horses out of the stable while they hang off the sides of two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Riley stumbles out of the burning stable and Vladimir tries to drive him off going, "Strangers are not welcome here."
Yeah, no, they fucking the Romeo and Juliet from the two families. There's like a dozen horses, I think is what's happened, and then 6 go this way, 6 go that way, and they like run next to and also behind each of the groups of horses while they run away. And it's like, you're both like more powerful than any living creature who's ever existed in this world. Like, you can do so much more than just like fucking Three Stooges your way out of the situation.
Yeah. And we find out this whole strangers aren't welcome here is really weird, because we find out later that like Transylvania is like the hub for like black market traffic.
Yeah, the strangers are the most welcome here. And also, vampires and the warlocks and witches in this world, the Orloffs, they both kind of have Transylvania, the town, as like, oh, it's you can't really hunt here. Neither of you can hunt here. You got to hunt outside. Wouldn't you want a stranger? Wouldn't you like a stranger coming to you be like perfect because he's not part of the town? But whatever.
Yeah, and you can't control black market trade if you kill all the strangers.
I know. Imagine if this cowboy is actually useful to some extent or rich. I mean, he's probably not rich. He's dressed like a cowboy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Katya, who the Vladimir tries to get rid of him, and then Katya's like, "Hey, you're a good fighter. Want to work for me?" Seemingly just to piss off Vladimir. And Riley's like, "No, fuck you," because she's like, "Kneel before me." He's like, "How about you kneel before me?" And
Wink.
Then both sets of riders charge right at him, and that leads us into Act 2.
Yes, that is true.
After a word from our sponsors.
Right. This script is just a less serious version of Penny Dreadful. We talked about it off recording before we hit record. But,
yeah.
The main character is a gunslinging cowboy werewolf caught up in a secret world of monsters, and he uses these skills. Like, it's so...
You just spoiled the ending.
Well, no, I didn't spoil the ending. That was an obvious... Okay, fair. But...
I'm not going to care too much.
I tried to talk my way out of it, but it wasn't the ending. It was just a big part of it. But... yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But
yeah,
it feels very Penny Dreadful, but like a goofy version without like that cutting writing.
Yeah, not as good as Penny Dreadful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nearly.
But so, in Act 2 begins, Riley heads them off by shooting the hats off their heads like it's fucking Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Literally. Straight up.
And holds Vladimir and Katya at bay with a pair of shotguns, which that wouldn't actually kill them, but okay.
It wouldn't. Neither would. I'm pretty sure neither of them would actually die. Maybe they'll be like a little hurt, like they go ow, and then they'd like heal, or one of them would just cast a spell or have a spell already. But hey,
because we establish what kills them later on,
right?
And neither of them are killed by shotguns, even though Van Helsing in the movie can kill the baby vampires with a shotgun.
Hey, look! This is may or may not, probably isn't in continuity, so.
But it's pitched as a Van Helsing spinoff, so I have to bring that stuff up.
That's true. That's very true, and you're very entitled to that.
Yep. And And so Vladimir threatens to come for him when the sun goes down and leaves, and Katya does her own threat. She burns the fake name he gives her. He keeps giving fake names, too. Like, he keeps going, like, Jones and stuff like that.
Smith.
And she burns the name into a tombstone outside the Undertaker's office, and her party rides off as well. And then the townspeople that emerge from their homes and shops, including the mayor and the Undertaker, the latter of whom immediately sizes Riley up for a coffin and tries to rob him. So he's totally just the top hat guy from Van Helsing.
Literally. I love that opening line that he has. Exactly how tall are you, for future reference? Like, that's pretty cutting. That's good.
He's just lucky the guy didn't try and chop his head off like he did the Van Helsing.
Exactly, with a shovel, which is hilarious. But, yeah. No, the Undertaker character is a great character. The mayor's kind of funny. That's about all I like about that scene.
So the mayor drags Riley off into the Black Raven pub, where after sidestepping the chalk pentagram on the floor, sits him down at a table and offers him the job of the town commissar, or sheriff, as Riley understands it.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a room, an office, a manservant named Fritz, and 500 crowns a week.
This show reminds me of the fake cowboy town in Westworld. Like, you're a badass dude who strolls into town, you talk with NPCs, you beat them all in a gunfight, every woman is described with paragraphs of how hot and sexy they are, and then the hot, sexy bartender flirts with you after the entire town cheers you on. Like, it reads like a self-insert fanfiction.
Or like the fake show from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly that.
Which is
Bounty
apparently... which they're apparently making for real.
Mm-hmm.
But and so like Riley asks what happened to the old commissar, but the mayor dodges the question.
Yep.
And ask him what he plans to do about the Orloffs and the Dragoulias when they come for him, but it becomes clear he really doesn't know about anything of what's going on, and they're like, ah, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some fun bits in here.
And so that's when a man bursts in and declares that the werewolf is back and responsible for people disappearing in the neighboring village.
Yep.
And the mayor quickly hands off the commissar's star to Riley, saying he'll get a 100 crown bonus if he kills the werewolf, and then leaves with the Undertaker. So this is a point I want to bring up in this, is that they keep referring to the werewolf like there's only one.
Yeah.
And that there can only ever be one, like it's fucking Highlander or something.
Also, this guy that bursts in is like, oh, the werewolf's back. Like, what? Did he, like, witness the werewolf and, like, spend this entire time running directly to the bar to announce it? Or did he, like, just in that, like, 10 minutes earlier see, like, maybe some bodies that a werewolf could have caused, and then, like, it doesn't track with, like, the logic.
Yep, and it's just the weird singular werewolf thing is weird, because there's at least one point where they mention werewolves, plural,
Mm-hmm.
and then never again. Like, they keep talking about, like, oh, it must be the same one, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. Why? Yeah, I don't know. Also, like, not for nothing, but, like, werewolves, at least in Van Helsing's continuity, which, again, this is a spin-off, kind of, like, they're a species. So why would only one be in Transylvania? It's probably, like, a family at least, or a pack. They're wolves.
Yeah, and and in Van Helsing the movie, Dracula is perfectly capable of controlling them.
Oh, yeah, easily. And now at this point, he's like, oh, yeah, we teamed up and got rid of them all, I guess, kind of. I'm also not in it.
Which I guess tracks, kind of, with werewolves being the only thing that can kill him in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm putting this much thought into it.
It shouldn't, because it doesn't. Like, one thing lines up per 10 things that don't. So...
And so he is then Riley is then approached by a girl named Maya Pretorius, who dresses like a gypsy pirate.
Yep, that's how it's described.
She wears like a gypsy dress and like a pirate bandana.
Mm-hmm.
And note the name Pretorius, that's a connection to Bride of Frankenstein.
Yep, absolutely.
And she explains that he is basically screwed, as the Orloffs and the Dragoulias, they control Transylvania's black market trade, and that their enemies all end up dead.
Mm-hmm.
See, like 10 minutes ago as to why that's stupid, but they step out of the pub, and she explains that the families have had an uneasy truce in place since they came together 5 years ago to hunt the last werewolf, and says, that's the one thing everybody in Transylvania agrees on. They all hate werewolves.
Why are werewolves worse than vampires? Or witches? Like, they're
Dude,
all terrible.
I guess werewolves pee on the carpet and shed everywhere.
I guess so, but, like, they just seem equally as much of a problem as a coven of witches and or the Dragoulia family. So, whatever.
But remember, vampires, they only kill 1 or 2 people a month.
Yeah, which is funny because that town in Van Helsing had like 50 people in it max. So like they're like 5 buildings. Like, I don't get why. Like, come on. Whatever.
It's like the Tim Burton Batman movies where there's like 50 people in all of Gotham.
Literally, this huge booming city that nobody's in.
And so Maya points out Orloff Manor carved out of a nearby cliffside, and Dragoulia Castle perched atop a mountain in the other direction. Now, I have to mention this, in the movie we get all these big sweeping shots of the village and the mountains surrounding it. There are no manor, no castle.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the castle near the village from the movie, not in the script, not in the pilot.
No, not at all. Are you at the part of the script where they walk directly out of the bar and see both castles in perfect view yet?
Yes.
Okay, so this is that part that we talked about, just like, I swear to God, immediately before hitting record, because we talked about somewhat of this beforehand, but like, you walk 5 feet out of that bar with this woman that's just so, casually somewhat flirting with you, hitting on you, informing you of everything important, and you walk 5 feet out, you'd look left, and there's this big ass castle that's like maybe like a football yard away, and then like you look right, and there's like literally the other castle, and it's described as like no different basically, and they're like, it seems in my head anyway, they're like equidistant and not very far from each other. So if these two families like hate each other so much, why are they like next door? Like I don't understand. It makes Transylvania, the city, the actual place or the place in this world, feel so small. Like it's like Van Helsing where it's just 5 buildings and 50 people. Like it doesn't feel like it's anything.
And we still haven't addressed the derelict castle from the opening.
I know. Not at all.
Yeah, and I just had a thought, since they were apparently intending to, use the set from the movie, would they have hired like a stagehand or someone to pull all those arrows out of that building that Van Helsing just fills with arrows?
Yeah.
Or would they just leave it there?
Honestly, it's funny that was probably a lot of done with CGI, so they probably like have to put those in, or like the holes from those arrows from people having taken them out, which would be kind of funny. But that's called continuity. And if you think that has tiny continuity details, attention to detail, then you're way out of depth on this one, because
yeah,
big oof.
They just leave the big hole in the one building where the cow crashed through.
Literally. But what's even funnier, and you're immediately going to get there now, are the people in both of those houses and how we go to scenes between them.
Yes, but okay, so first off, she says that people who go up to the castle, people who go up to the manor, they come back changed, and people who go up to the castle don't come back at all. And so she walks away, leaving Riley with the knowledge that in Transylvania, no insult goes unavenged. And the frustrated new sheriff is left alone, and he looks towards the castle. And from there, we go to a monstrous POV shot as it runs towards the castle, up its wall, taking out a guard as it goes, because apparently Stephen Sommers saw that scene from Coppola's Dracula where he runs up to the house and knocks a guy over.
Yep, that one bit.
And it looks into a window at the vampire throne room, and on the opposite wall are mirrors with terrified faces trapped within, so another special effect you could just cut.
Oh yeah, straight up. You would have to.
And on another wall is a chained up and blind old man who is literally named the Seer on the Wall, and is referred to as such in dialogue.
Yep. Ah, yes, my seer.
Because Count Dragula is like, don't disrespect the Seer on the Wall.
Dude, yeah, he may save your life someday, which is really funny considering that, like, he served. It's a point I'll make in a minute, but like he serves the exact same function from another character in the exact same other castle, and 10 feet across the street. Like, come on.
And he's talking about how the werewolf is back as the brothers enter the room, and Vladimir's like, shut up. And the shadowy figure of his father, Count Dragula, who remains in shadow for now, with only one bony finger visible, to scold him, saying the seer could save his life one day, as you just said.
Yep.
And he also chides his son for breaking the truce and feeding on the locals, which Vladimir tries to cover for by saying they got between him and the newcomer. And the seer says he has seen nothing of Riley, and Vladimir switches gears, asking if he's seen Yosef and Martina. And the seer gives a vague answer, like he's hinting that he knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. And Vladimir reveals the relationship to their father, and Yosef says he was following his tutor Machiavelli's advice and keeping his enemies close. This is like 4.5 centuries after Machiavelli.
That's why so that line confused me, because up until that point I was like, oh, this is modern Transylvania, because they have such new, normal dialogue that is not anywhere near this. But like, also it would make more sense with continuity. But no, it's A, the same time period. B, even if it was either or, neither are anywhere near Machiavelli. So I don't know if it's like a descendant or if it's just a nonsense line.
I wonder if that's actually a Machiavelli quote, or if Stephen Sommers just really likes The Godfather.
He must, to some extent, with this kind of script.
Yep. And Vladimir insists he's in love with her and tries to get him to prove his loyalty by killing her. And Count Dragula is just like, what the fuck are you doing? We have to maintain a truce as the werewolf is back and they need all the help they can get.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that Vladimir tried to deal with it himself 5 years ago, but lost 30 men and his left arm in the process.
Yep.
So he got bitten by a werewolf, so he's a werepire?
No, it's probably one of those
not.
things where he got bitten by a werewolf and chopped it off before becoming a werepire.
So he's not the guy from Underworld.
No, definitely not Michael Corvinus, of which I know the full legal name off the top of my head.
I know his name because I've seen the first movie quite a few times.
I I saw the first 4, there's 5, I think. I started watching 5, and oh my god, is it wow. Wow. Boy, oh boy. Gotta be a commentary at some point, man.
Gotta be a thon.
Yeah, oh, you know it. No, they would never agree with that. Oh.
Yeah, because the only Len Wiseman movie they've seen is
Just Total Recall
2012.
Oh,
God, that movie's terrible. But
yeah,
let's move on. And he then rises from the throne, saying they must protect the villagers to keep them for themselves, and fear is the best way to control them, and then steps into the light, revealing himself to be a hideous-looking 400-year-old man. Just in case they can't, which timeline-wise would make him Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, / the same fucking character from Van Helsing.
So this guy met an archangel, and they were like pals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the archangel killed him and chopped off his finger.
Yeah, and then the archangel came back with no memory, killed him definitively this time, but then now he's just back with no explanation in true Universal monster fashion.
That is true, because by the time you get to like House of Dracula, they just stop caring.
Literally. And I bet you that if Van Helsing came out and like, I don't know, people liked it, or they greenlit this TV show for some reason, but like they couldn't greenlight a sequel, Stephen Sommers would make this like the sequel and like make it more continuity wise and stuff and make this Dracula and continue it.
And it actually tried to explain the loose ends from the movie.
Pretty much, yeah. Or tie
and
something
he'd put the creature from the Black Lagoon in it.
Yes, because he almost did and fucking backed out. God damn. They made storyboards. It looks so good.
Doesn't look that good.
It looks better than not having him there.
And so Vladimir bows, saying he'll teach the village fear by killing Riley and putting his head on a pole. Guys, you're descended from the Impaler. That's not how he did it.
Yep. Not
put
quite.
It up your ass.
Directly up the poop chute, as it were.
And so we go to Orloff Manor, which it's weird that the name Orloff is in this, and that's the name of like a series of like cheap Italian Gothic movies like The Awful Dr. Orloff.
I was thinking like Orlok because Nosferatu. But,
maybe.
But that's like the opposite of what they are, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's the coven of witches and warlocks are practicing magic in an octagonal room.
Yep.
Why he specifies the shape of the room, I don't know. But in the center of the room, a crystal ball and a magic mirror argue about doing something about Martina's romance with Yosef. And I don't know about you, but throughout this whole scene, I was picturing the crystal ball from the Haunted Mansion movie and the magic mirror from Shrek.
I pictured the magic mirror from Shrek. I did not have the Haunted Mansion crystal ball off the top of my head, but literally the Shrek mirror was what I was picturing as well. And also, like, there are bits in here that I'm sure you're going to bring up. Actually, I'll just let you get to them. I'll let you get to them because they're pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I might not get into the dialogue exactly.
Well, there's this one bit where, like, the queen walks up to the mirror and she's like, you wouldn't lie to me, would you?
Yes, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so when the door bursts open and the family leader, Queen Marketa, these names, mother of Katya and Martina, enters, your older daughter following behind her, and Katya makes a similar argument to her mother that Vladimir did. It's literally the same scene almost.
Mm-hmm. It is very odd that the vampire house and the witch house have the exact same set of characters on each. Like, they both have the big chief who has 2 children, and then one of those 2 children is the older, wiser leader with an arrogant attitude, and the younger is like the Romeo Juliet one. Like, it's just dead ass reflected.
Oh, there was something there's another continuity thing I forgot to mention about Dracula. He has kids.
Oh yeah.
That's like a big plot point in the Van Helsing movie.
That is the plot of Van Helsing, is him trying to get kids and he never succeeded. So the fact that he just has 2, like,
his kids are like gargoyles.
Oh, and you can't even say it was after Van Helsing somehow, because this fucking Vlad is 112. So he had him 112 years ago. What the fuck? Like, none of it lines up. Oh, it's so stupid. I love it.
Yeah, but okay, so... But she wants to wipe out the vampires now, but Marketa also wants to maintain the status quo. You know what this script is reminding me of?
What's that?
Like real hard, like the template plot of like Yojimbo and A Fistful of Dollars.
Pretty much. It's a lot of things that people have seen before with like warring families.
There's even a prominent Undertaker.
Yeah, I guess so. That is a good point.
Like that's like what's like one of like the 2 template movie plots. It's like
And it's funny too because like A Fistful of Dollars is a remake of Yojimbo, and it stars a gunslinger showing up to town randomly and getting between the families.
Yeah,
which is literally what this is.
Yeah, it's one of those two templates that we've done a million times, along with the Seven Samurai template.
I never realized how much of a fistful of dollars this was. That's so funny.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything as cool as just like tanking a bunch of gunshots.
No, yeah, not quite. Although I will say in one of the I think it's the second Dollars movie, they play gun shooting with a hat and shoot it across the ground. That's pretty fun.
Yes, that's too.
That's really good.
Yeah, and so she then asks the mirror where Martina is, but they dissemble and say they can't see her as she has covered her tracks with magic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where she goes, "You wouldn't lie to me, would you?" And then the mirror goes, "No, of course not," and flatters her with a younger, more beautiful reflection.
That's the best part of the whole script. Like, I can forgive several other things this pilot does. If that happened, I'd die. Like, come on.
Also, talking mirror and talking crystal ball, more budget.
Oh, easily. There's no world that this could actually be produced in unless you had like, well, almost a Van Helsing sized budget.
I do like the bit where Katya just gets out a hammer and goes, "Really? You sure you're not lying? Because I could go crash." That was funny.
That was pretty good, yeah.
And so Marquetta then asks about the werewolf and how it could have returned. They say they felt its death, but they couldn't see it as werewolves are transcendent beings, which is like one of the only times there for the werewolves is like a multiple thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Katya, for the most part, thinks it's all crap and that the villagers are being stirred up by Maya, but Marquetta's like, "Oh, you're just jealous because, honestly, you are much prettier than her."
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, "Only much?" Then she turns to the mirror and is like, "You told me I was by far prettier than her."
It literally, like, this character, like, no person would say any of this ever for any reason.
I don't know why I gave her like the douchey 50s dad voice there.
Oh, I'll take it. I think it suits better than what the implication of the script voice was.
"Now, son, you know that father always knows best.
Accept the light. Never go there."
God, I was reading a script which was like templated from The Lion King. It was so funny. But now that's a tangent.
Yeah, I've seen The Northman.
Katya wants permission to kill her, but Marquetta refuses, saying her father, the professor, has made too many useful things for them, and the crystal in the mirror they refer to really nice perfumes and a working toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they have indoor plumbings in the time of Van Helsing.
I guess so?
Now, her father would be Professor Pretorius.
Yes.
I think this is their in to do Frankenstein stuff.
Allegedly, yeah, that's...
Like later on in the series, he would build like a Frankenstein monster.
Oh, sure, yeah, he's bride guy that shows up with the shrunken people.
Yeah, with the tiny people in the jars.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense if they want to like set their stuff up and just do a TV show's worth of Universal Monsters. That totally works for me. This pilot is not really saying that, though, but...
Yeah, by the way, that scene with the tiny people in the jars might be the weirdest scene in a Universal Monster movie.
That is a high bar, though. There's some weird shit.
The goodnight scene in House of Frankenstein.
Aren't you going to say goodnight?
Good night. Good night.
Oh, no, I personally, I'm a big fan of when they just remove the steak from Dracula's chest and he's just fine again.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was where they did that.
Oh, the Van Helsing Dark Universe.
That's
Duh.
right. He does do that.
You don't think I have that off rip, my guy, on the realest of real Van Helsing Dark Universe.
That's right, because he stakes Dracula and then later on goes, "Oh shit, I fucked up," and then unstakes him.
Yeah, for like a second, and then Dracula freaks out and just stakes him real quick again.
Yeah.
One of the highlights, if you will. But yeah, so no, the scene continues on, and like, well, I'll let you keep going with it.
I'm finding where I have my notes. Yeah,
weird stuff that happens.
Yeah, she makes her daughter promise not to harm Maya, and then not to let any of her men do so either, because she's like, I know she's a crafty little bitch.
Yep, fucking hate her so much because she's attractive, I guess. Even though everyone in this world is attractive, because it's Hollywood casting time. So who cares?
Yeah, it's like Gone with the Wind, where they have to pretend that Melanie is somehow plain.
Yeah, bro. Like you can't just put glasses on a 10 and call her a 4. That doesn't make any sense.
Or like Mortal Engines, where it's like, she's got a tiny little line on her face.
Yeah, that means she's hideous. Or like Ready Player One, where she has a birthmark, even though she's still equally as attractive.
But Martina then enters, and with help from the crystal and mirror, covers for her absence by saying she was practicing with her broom. And then Katya then goes to leave, saying she's off to deal with Riley. And the crystal and the mirror say they've seen nothing of him. And Katya says they're useless for not being able to see him or the werewolf.
Bro, come on.
Top shelf foreshadowing there.
There's literally only one possibility. Like, and again, like you were saying, oh, you figured it out. Yeah, I figured it out after like scene 2. But like, she's listening to this information. They literally, the mirror and the ball both just said, we can't see werewolves, they're transcendent. And then she's like, oh, we can't see this stranger for some reason. And then she's like, wow, you're useless. It's like, no, you're not useless. You use magic. Magic is like always effective. So like, what the? Oh my God, it's so dumb. And they're witches. They're the experts of magic. Come on.
But yeah, so Katya storms off, and then we get this weird moment where like Martina like walks into her mother's arms and they like hug or something.
Yep.
It's described in a very strange way.
Much like the actual makeout scenes that are also described in similar ways. I see why you got that weirded out there.
Yeah, it's almost it's described as weirdly intimate, even for a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go outside the window. We go outside the mansion. We see that the werewolf has been watching through the window, which means he was the one watching at the castle as well. Then turns and leaps at the camera, which ends Act 2.
Damn, I wonder what character that werewolf could be.
I have to point out, the werewolf, it's day.
Yeah.
So this werewolf is not tied to the moon.
Nope, not at all. Which, hey, that's fine by me. It is whatever. But, like, the werewolf in Van Helsing was. So, whatever.
Yes. And, well, it's a special American werewolf.
In London.
In Transylvania.
Exactly.
Still better than the American werewolf in Paris.
I have not seen it. I never will. Hopefully.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Also, the vampires seem to be fairly okay with daylight in this.
Yes, there's a scene earlier where they the sunlight made the spell go away, but the vampires were still kind of chilling. And again, like Bram Stoker's vampires, they're just normal people in sunlight. They're supernatural people at night, except exactly at high noon where they're most powerful, which is hilarious. But in Van Helsing the movie, they're sticking to Nosferatu rules where it's like, oh yeah, sunlight just destroys you on contact, I guess. Even though, and I hate to keep talking about this, but like in Van Helsing, there's like overcast where it's like sunlight peering through all the clouds and it's really well lit and they're just standing around.
There's at least 2 scenes where the sky isn't even cloudy and the brides are out.
I know. Like, oh, come on. But
but yet they get cooked by the sun grenade.
Super cooked. Like fried. Like, come on. I don't get it.
The whole sunlight rule is this weird thing where there's always like versions of like vampire lore, like new versions of vampire stuff where they try and like where they try to like rationalize it or like update it in some way.
Right. Yeah.
And what's weird about it is that the first thing they always try to get rid of, I guess because they're trying to be edgy, is they always get rid of like the holy water and the cross and all that. But sunlight still burns them, even though that only dates back to 1922.
Literally, the first thing that did that was Nosferatu, and now in pop culture, everyone's like, oh, well, sunlight is just lethal. Like, that's not how it's always been. But also on top of that, too, like, you're so right about, like, them trying to ration that out. Like, Twilight had it so that, like, they kind of evolved, quote, quote. But then also, the Vampire Diaries, they wore, like, special rings that made them just normal and date. Like,
I've never watched that show.
Me neither, but I've had many people, specifically women, say that I should watch this show, and I've watched episode 1, and boy, is it not for me. So,
as I've guessed, the Van Helsing TV show is not for you.
We'll get there when we get there, Big Chief. Here,
we'll never get there.
But no, yeah, that sci-fi show. Watch my video essay and get to the very end.
Yeah, it's literally like the last 2 seconds of the video.
You're damn right it is. But whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, even the Castlevania show on Netflix, which weirdly Holy Water works on vampires. Sunlight kills them.
Really good. I just never saw it.
Oh, it is really, really good. It's 4 seasons. Like, it tells a complete arc. They're doing like a sequel series, but
it was the first adaptation of a video game property that had a positive Rotten Tomatoes score. That's why I remember it being well received.
Yeah, it's good.
So
but they do this weird thing in season 4 where they like rationalize away why crosses work on them. And they say it's like, oh, vampire eyes work in such a way where if you shove like a geometric shape into their faces, it makes them freak out.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't really need to rationalize a lot of this stuff. A lot of it's just like random mythological shit. So, I mean, none of it really makes any sense. Like this is such a weird pull, but like moonlight is just sunlight. Like it's not actually different from sunlight. So like a werewolf is just getting hit with sunlight. And also like would a werewolf turn in like a closed room where there's no windows? Or is it just the fact that the moon's out? Like it doesn't,
I mean,
if
we go by Van Helsing rules, they turn back into humans when the cloud passes in front of the moon.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like it's got to be blocking something, or it's just mumbo jumbo. So you can't really rationalize it at all. So whatever. But hey, werewolf fiction needs to happen. So you gotta let writers do whatever they want as long as they stay consistent. And
the werewolf lore that only goes back as far as 1941.
Yeah, literally in Universal's time.
Or 43 in the case of the full moon, because there's no full moon in the Wolfman.
Is full moon relevant in Werewolf of London?
Well, the moon... I can't remember if the moon makes him change, but the moon...
I'm looking it up right now because
the moon is important because the special flower only blossoms in moonlight.
Right. I remember that no, not the rock song. I remember that in the Wolfman 1941... the silver bullet being a thing existed only then. Like that was the first time that showed up. So, and then that's like a big deal as a silver bullet to kill the werewolf and like all lore. But no, I'm pretty sure the moon, the full moon makes the werewolf happen in London, in the Werewolf of London, not American Werewolf in London, because it blossomed the wolfsbane, I think, and that might have been where No, I think the poem came from the second one.
It wasn't... No, the poem was from the Wolfman. Werewolf of London, it's not Wolfsbane, it's the Marifasa...
Marifasa! Yeah!
Lupino Lumino?
Lupita Nyong'o, star of Black Panther, yeah. I remember that.
Star of Us.
Star of Us. Yeah, she's spoiled. But yeah. So, no, that was really funny.
All right, so we go into Act 3. And so we go to Riley, who picks the lock on the commissar's office and has to for some reason.
Yep. Even though he is sheriff.
Yeah. And he finds 2 boxes. One's full of papers. The other just has one. And he soon meets Fritz, who sadly is not a hunchback.
Right. Maybe they'll do that later on, though. I kind of like Fritz, though. I mean, he's a fun character.
He'll have like the calcium condition from old, and he'll
just hunch over immediately.
Don't look at me.
Right.
Yeah, but he's the manservant who comes with the job, and he seems to be crazy or mentally challenged, and tells him that the full box is unsolved murders, and the nearly empty one is solved murders, and it's like, that's the murder of the previous commissar, and it's heavily implied that Fritz did it.
Yep, easily.
And so Fritz then leads Riley into the jail cell area in the back, which looks like a dungeon, and he drops his idiot act, so he's pretending to look stupid so that he survives longer.
Right.
Which makes him the best character in this thing.
It's kind of great. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of Fritz in this.
And so he informs Riley of what he's up against, and he just dumps the series lore right here. The Dragulias, they're vampires, they feed on blood. Orloffs are witches and warlocks, they're vegetarians or vegans, even though veganism, I'm pretty sure, was a concept that very much post-dates the setting of this.
Yeah, which means the script is implying that they invented veganism, which is even funnier.
And they both lose their powers in daylight. Dragulias can only be killed with a stake through the heart, which I would argue is a very conventional means of attack.
A, it's very conventional. B, like I'm sure you're going to mention, it's silver, which isn't connecting to Van Helsing, which at this point is like not even top 20 problems with Van Helsing that this is connecting with.
Well, no, they are killed by silver stakes in Van Helsing.
No, I thought oh yeah, no, I guess you're right. There was like a gadget stake. Okay, yeah, I rescind.
Yeah, it's like it's a silver stake that telescopes out when Faramir pushes a button on it.
You know what? You convinced me. This connects perfectly with Van Helsing in every way. I rescind my entire.
Except it doesn't, because they have steel stakes in their armory.
Oh, damn it! You had to go ahead and make me correct again.
Well, I mean, it is a conventional means of attack because, I mean, if I put a stake through your heart, you would die.
Yeah, humans are very weak to stakes through the heart. You know?
Yeah, so Fritz is, and so blah blah. The Orloffs can be melted with holy water, which is not a witch thing. Mm-hmm. It's a vampire thing, and it worked in Van Helsing.
Yep, both of those are very true. So the fact that there are vampires here with witches being the ones that fall to holy water is nonsense.
Yeah, and he even did the slow motion run to the holy water font,
which is a great scene, and I will defend it.
Despite including a bride.
Yeah, you did.
And so Riley then asks him about werewolves, and Fritz is like, huh?
Yeah. Even though he was just talking about Dracula and fucking the witches and stuff, which Dracula's witches and werewolves, like, werewolf is like the least intimidating of those three. Like, I would rather have a werewolf hunt me down than either of the other two. But yet Fritz is like, oh, not a werewolf. Don't even talk to me about a werewolf.
A standard deadbolt could probably stop a werewolf, whereas Dracula can be like, here, you.
Yeah,
open
done.
the door.
Straight
Invite
up.
me in. Give me Wendy's.
Give me Wendy's. He can go to Wendy's, maybe. Who knows?
I would argue he could, because it's a public place.
Yeah, but like he has to be invited. But also, here's the thing: if you drive through the drive-through of Wendy's and then go home, you would say that you went to Wendy's. Like that's what you would say just happened. So by that logic, Dracula could just drive through.
But no, my assumption is that invited in only works on a private residence.
Yeah, but the script doesn't clarify, and by script I mean Bram Stoker's book Dracula. The manuscript, if you will.
We're having the Wendy's debate again.
I can make an hour-long show about the could Dracula go to Wendy's topic.
Make it a video essay.
I feel like nobody would watch it.
include my argument.
Fair. I'll do that if I ever do that.
Yeah, if you ever do that, which is never.
You got it.
But no, and so we get a cutaway to Vladimir and Katya, who meet in the woods and just start making out. And it's like, okay, so they're both pissed off at their siblings for no reason.
Transylvania is a spit-swapping makeout sesh on CW, coming soon.
Yeah. Oh my god. Back then it would have been the WB.
The WB, bro. Or it's replacing the slot of Days of Our Lives, Transylvania. So... yeah, also, they literally gallivanted at the exact time, on the exact path, to the exact same area. Like, it's so silly. Like, of course, right? Of course they're going to have this conversation.
Yeah. And so we go back, and we see Fritz brushing off Riley's werewolf questions, which is, I don't know, is there a cure? And if this is in continuity with Van Helsing, there very much is.
There is, and the Dragulias have it. But also, like, it seems like Riley doesn't really care that much.
Well, he can control it.
Yeah, he can super control it. He actively uses it to like spy on people and hunt people. Like a superpower almost. And
then something thumps against the outside wall. And so Riley checks outside the front door, I misspelled Martina as Martian.
Oh.
Lying on the ground with her broom. She tells him that the Orloffs are coming for him and gives him an amulet that's meant to protect him from the necrology, which it's a time-stopping spell that they use for killing, robbery, or getting into bed with people. So
I'm still kind of laughing at Martian, if I'm being honest. It's so stupid. But I think it's kind of funny. It's a cool use of powers.
Oh, the sexual assault.
Well, look, they're villains. Okay, they're not, even though they're kind of protagonists, which is weird.
James Bond is like,
interesting. I like this script. Let's greenlight it. Could you add more sexism by any chance?
Yes. But Fritz, who had resumed his idiot act while Martina was there, spelled correctly this time, drops the act when she leaves, revealing he has his own amulet. He says he got off a witch who thought if she kissed him, he looked like a frog. And so he's like, if he kissed him, he'd become a handsome prince. And he's like, so it didn't work? He goes like, yeah, it did.
It's kind of funny considering that, like, I don't know, like Riley already is not affected by the magic because he's a transcendent being, as it were. Like, he was totally fine and everybody was frozen. And he got another amulet from Fritz, and he's like, all right, bet I'll put it on. And then he gets another amulet like 60 seconds later, which is just like the weirdest chain of events.
Yeah, he gets offered another one?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I don't know. I'd have to keep reading.
Yeah.
And so back in the woods, Katya asks Vladimir to kill Maya for her, and he's reluctant to do so at first. It was like, but she's so nice and kind and pretty. You must just be jealous.
Yep.
And Katya's like, hey, I'll kill Riley for you if you kill her for me. And oh, by the way, you could have me if you do it. He kind of already has you, but...
He already has her, and he, again, just like called out his own brother for hooking up with the girl from the other family, but he's doing the exact same thing So like, if any of that got out, his whole like argument is just out the window, and him as a character is just like I don't know. There's a lot of like loopholes and logic flaws in this whole thing. Just don't really connect at all.
She's like, oh, if you kill this woman, I'll take out my vagina dentata for you.
And he's like, oh, I like a vagina. I'll go kill her.
This seals it for Vladimir, who agrees to the terms.
Yep.
So she's literally whoring herself out now.
Yeah, which is, I didn't even think of that in that sense. Yeah, that's literally just whatever. It's going beyond using your charm. You're using your pussy to get what you want.
And so Act 4, we go there. Maya rides up to the commissar's office and meets with Riley and Fritz, who's back in idiot mode, and offers him another amulet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what?
It is surprised to see he already has one.
It's good to see that like these amulets are in such lavish supply that nobody in Transylvania should be worried about them.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I took it off this warlock I used to date. He died in my arms before I threw him off a cliff.
And took this from his body.
Yeah, so I think she just threw him off the cliff. I think she's bullshitting.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of like witty comebacks and repertoire in here, and a lot of it's like bullshit.
Yeah. And she then tells Riley to run, but his determination to stand his ground starts to win her over a little. And he's been like flirting with her like both scenes she's been in. Like,
oh yeah,
insane.
Yeah. Super duper.
And so that's when a bloodless body drops out of the sky and the female cackling is heard. Thank God it's not the bride's.
No, but it's infinitely worse, if you can believe it.
Yeah, and so Riley goes to face his attacker, and Maya flees down an alley, losing her bandana, which is when we realize she's the girl from the opening, just with a jacket on.
Yep. Absolutely.
And she runs into Vladimir, who drops the woman he's feasting on to attack her, which is very similar to a scene in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that did happen.
Yeah, he then orders his men to kill her for him. But yeah, he grabs her, she slips out of the jacket she's wearing and runs off. He orders his men to kill her for him, and they take off in pursuit of her. Mm-hmm. And so, because he's like, oh, I've known her since she was a kid, which means you would have been 80-something, maybe?
Yep. Yeah, like it oh, whatever.
And, they take off in pursuit of her. And here we get a comedy aside where Riley is making his way through the town square, which is under the necrology spell, and messes... You know what this is? It's the Professor X thing.
Oh, you're so right. It literally is. Like, they gotta nerf him every single time.
And so he messes around with the mayor, dropping his pants, and then putting the Undertaker's hand on his ass. Mm-hmm. And which this was a pointless scene. He then hears a noise coming from a nearby store and finds Katya, who has killed a man and stolen his glass eye, because he's like, oh, I'm looking for Eye of Newt, and this guy is Newt.
And then she
Newt's
follows
commander.
it up with amazing dialogue, which is just, when I was a little girl, I always knew I would be bad. I just never imagined I'd be this bad.
Oh, she a baddie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it. Oh, good God, man. What, like a fucking 5-year-old write this?
Stephen Sommers.
Yeah. No, there's too much making out for a child to write this.
And so she waves her hand, throws Riley across the room. He throws some water in her face. She's like, oh, I'm melting. But it's like, oh, no, it's not holy water.
Yep.
Which there's a scene like that in the movie where the bride gets the one who's in Wonder Woman gets holy water splashed in her face, and she's like, oh, and then she pops up and goes, boo.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That reminds me of the Tim Burton Batman where Joker gets splashed and he's like, boo.
Yes.
Except it's an actual effective moment.
Yeah, and they actually literally, like, in the description say, oh, it's like Wizard of Oz. Thank you.
Straight up. Yeah, very useful for us to know.
And so she magic throws Riley through the wall and into the town square, where he had been pulling a stick of dynamite out of his pocket, so he's definitely more in the Rick O'Connell mold than he is in the Van Helsing mold.
Yeah, absolutely.
He loses it, and he's literally called a Mammoth Warlock, and I was just picturing the fucking Mammoth from Ice Age.
I was picturing Mammoth from Teen Titans, where he's just like a gigantic dude.
I never watched that show. So.
It's funny because, like, Warlock, like, you'd figure a Warlock could do all kinds of cool stuff, and he's literally just like a brute who just throws Riley around a few times.
Yeah, that's it. And Katya goes like, oh, I'm going to leave you to him, so So I don't want to miss Maya's death. So basically both of them fuck up their own deal.
Yeah, like she may as well have just hired like a relatively large dude. You know, a shady European guy with tattoos, like the beginning of the show. Like literally, like it's that level of like you're not even putting any time or care into like anything a warlock could have fun with doing.
Get that big dude from the first Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yes, he's literally just that. Our Dredger,
who was also one of the Jaeger pilots in Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Oh wow, I never made that connection. That's kind of funny.
But okay, so we then go to Derelict Castle, and this is where we get the big twist. The opening was a flash forward.
Oh, I think I spoiled that. I don't know if you cut that.
Yeah,
it's Schrodinger's spoiler. It may or may not be in the final product.
I can't have cut it out while we're still recording.
No, but like when this up for the audience listening now, like we live in a world where either that happened or it didn't. But yeah, no, it's a flash forward as described. Maybe
it's doing that stupid thing movies like to do, where it's like, here's a scene from later.
I know.
You might be wondering how I got in the.
And sure, like great shows have done this. Like Breaking Bad, the first episode does that. Sure, but like
the first John Wick movie does that.
The first John Wick movie does that. I love the first John Wick. But I like the sequels better, and also the sequels don't do that. So you know, there you go.
I like 2 more. I like 3 a little bit less. But
I like 2 and 3. I just love them so much. Every time I watch a John Wick movie, I get jazzed up.
You're about to get 2 more.
Oh, you're damn right I am. Maybe 1 because they didn't back to back because of COVID. I hope 5.
And so we see Maya running and hiding from the vampires again, and then back in town, Riley gets thrown into a hardware store. Because we have that in 19th century Transylvania.
Yeah, wait a minute.
It's just Home Depot, fucking Denzel Washington.
Do you blame me for thinking this is like modern day? Because like they have terms like hardware store.
It's like a Denzel Washington walks by with a nail gun.
Oh, yeah, through a Lowe's. But
and Yosef stealthily hands him the dynamite stick, but this time it's lit. And then the Mammoth Warlock bursts in, and Riley sticks it to his long fingernails and jumps out the building right as it blows. It's almost like that bit near the end of the first Pirates of the Caribbean where he sticks the bomb in the skeleton and pushes him out of the light.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, except, you know, that's like fun, and this is like strange.
And it makes sense.
It works there. It doesn't.
How thick are this guy's nails?
I know. And also, like, why not just like toss or roll the dynamite towards the Mammoth Warlock, who's just a big dude without powers? Like, I don't know. It seems like a funny visual gag that like wouldn't really make sense.
And so he runs off down an alley, and then we go back to the mill house, and the vampires are stalking through again, but it's specified to like, oh, shots are different.
Yep.
And it comes to them picking a door, and they do this weird variation of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they even argue about the rules of the game, like how many words count.
Yep, exactly. As if any of it matters or any of the audience cares about this dialogue.
Yep, and this time they open the kitchen door, and Riley is standing there. How the fuck he got there, I don't know.
Honestly, I kind of imagine that like Riley like werewolfed like by thought and then like dove.
De-wolfed.
Yeah, he soared through the air because like in those POV shots he's jumping like 40, 50, 60 feet in the air up these castle walls and shit. So like
he's parkour wolf.
Yeah, he parkoured directly into this room through like a window, even though he's a werewolf, so he's probably bigger than the window. And he's just like stealthy and quiet, and like none of it really tracks.
Yeah, but he's standing there holding the chair before he turns into the werewolf and takes out the vampires. And the exterior shot from earlier is get to be a POV shot from Vladimir, who flees, running into Katya, telling her to run as well. And the werewolf then rips off the closet door and looks at Maya for a bit before turning and jumping out a nearby window. And as he runs across the courtyard, he turns back into Riley, and I'm guessing he's not going to be doing the skin-ripping thing from the movie.
Nope, because A, that takes time, B, that looked cool, and C, that was budget.
It was a movie, not a TV show.
Exactly. You could do it then.
Not an NBC show, a network mainly known for like having comedies.
Yeah, which is why probably the script is really oddly comedic. A comedic version of Penny Dreadful, as mentioned earlier.
Yes, and as he runs across the courtyard, he turns back into Riley, flees into the night, but then we see that a white-haired man was watching from a castle window and now knows Riley's secret, and it ends.
Okay,
so that's obviously Pretorius.
That's Pretorius? Is that what that was?
Yeah, but so Maya fled to where her father was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was like, because like I don't know if the seer on the wall was like an old white-haired guy, but
Why would he?
I don't know. I was
The
confused.
seer is he's not the seer on the wall if he's off the wall.
The script literally ended, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" So
No, I had to piece that together. So presumably he's going to want to plug the Wolfman into the machine like in the movie.
yes,
Which did fuck all.
Yeah, which didn't work. So I'm sure it'll work here because this is just very much not a Van Helsing tie-in.
I don't even know why Dracula would think that would work.
I don't. I mean, you've tried normal people. It doesn't work. Maybe a werewolf is different because, like, it's different. I guess that tracks. 'Cause if Frankenstein got away again, then sure, you make lemonade out of lemons, I guess. But it didn't even work. But no, this does not connect to Van Helsing at all, like in any regard. I can't even think of one connection. They picked the name Dragulia, which is something Stephen Sommers made up. It's not historical. So he's literally like building off as if it's continuity, but it's just a different, very similar So, I don't know.
I feel like this isn't like the worst thing I've read. Like it's not even the worst pilot I've seen from ones that get picked up.
I haven't read the Powerpuff Girls yet. That sounds really funny, but
I haven't read that yet either.
we totally should. But
I mean, have you seen the 2-part pilot of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
No, I've seen no Star Trek show. I've seen the movies.
The 2-part pilot, if it didn't introduce Q, who was awesome, it will be the most boring piece of shit ever.
Really?
Because it's just slow. Like there's this whole long scene of like they separate the saucer section and have to put it back together.
Mhm.
It's really like the main plot is really boring. Like the side tangent about Q is cool. The rest of it is just like, oh my god.
Jesus, that sounds terrible.
And it's like it's early TNG when like the characters were all insufferable.
Mm-hmm. That sounds terrible and boring.
And even Patrick Stewart is an asshole.
Oh yeah. Oh, it is Next Generation. You get Picard in there. That's true. But yeah, no. This as a pilot. I mean, it just begets so many questions. Not only just with continuity to Van Helsing. I know it's not what it's going for, but like it kind of is. A, but B, within its own continuity and its own kind of like lore, the drama with the families doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think that this is something that like. I don't think it's going to really satisfy any audience out there. And you know me, I love a good Monster Mash content. Anything with multiple monsters and the same thing, I'm down with. Hell yeah. But this is just such a weird direction. You know what it reminds me of? Have you seen House of Frankenstein? That one weird pilot television special?
The miniseries?
Yeah, the miniseries.
A long time ago. I remember some of it.
Okay, this is oddly similar to that, but that was modern day. And this is that was acting as a sequel to Dracula and Frankenstein the book. But this is very similar to that in the sense that like it has really corny elements, really underwritten characters, and it's pretending that it's a monster mash, but it's just a soap opera. And it's not even a very good one.
It wasn't even Dracula, was it? It was just a vampire.
No, it was just some dude. I think it was
who
Dracula.
Who looks like Satan.
Yeah, dude, when he transformed into the devil form, man, that was the funniest part of the whole thing. I laughed out loud. But he was just suddenly there.
And it's not the Wolfman, it's just a werewolf.
A werewolf, some guy on
like
TV
you
budget.
you spent the money to get the rights to the name House of Frankenstein.
You did. You totally did. And
you don't put Larry Talbot in your movie?
I know, kind of like Van Helsing not
Van
having
Helsing.
Larry Talbot. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't make any sense. Funny because Van Helsing's script, Stephen Sommers could have given that to any studio, because like Dracula's fair use, Frankenstein's fair use, and he didn't use the Wolfman. So like,
but he calls him the Wolfman, which is copyrighted.
They could just dub that over with the werewolf.
Yeah,
prowling.
it's like how Full Moon had direct-to-video movies called Frankenstein Reborn and The Werewolf Reborn.
Yeah, which is really funny. But they never crossed them over. That's where my interest goes, is when they meet. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, which is a very disappointing movie.
I liked it better than the House movies.
They're about on par because neither deliver on their premise.
You see, where it comes in for me is, right, the monsters actually do meet in Meets the Wolfman, but it's really just more Wolfman 2, whereas in the other ones, the monsters are like, they're always conveniently in another room, when the other one is doing something.
Dude, absolutely. Like, fucking House of Frankenstein. I hate to go off on this because it's not even the pilot Transylvania. But House of Frankenstein, the first half is a solo Dracula movie, and then he dies. And then the second half is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman Part 2, which is like a remake almost of that movie that you already saw. So
if that first half of House of Frankenstein had been made into just like a full Dracula movie, it would be like the second best one.
It'd be pretty good. It's better than Daughter. It's better than Son. It's actually not bad.
Even though Dracula's Daughter is the only Dracula movie with continuity with the first one.
I'm willing to bet they took like 2 scripts to 2 different movies and just played them side by side and added like a through character in Boris Karloff, and that's it. And that's the end of it.
It's like an anthology movie.
Literally, it's almost an anthology. It literally wants to
if
be.
it was an anthology, it would be better.
It would be, if anything.
Because then you could add in a segment with the Mummy.
Yes, the Mummy, by the way, their fucking most successful one, never crossed over, and then Dark Universe is like starting with the Mummy, and it sucked. So now we're never going to see it again.
You know what Stephen Sommers' first pitch was for a sequel to the Mummy?
What was it?
It was to have Rick and Evie and whoever fight a new Universal monster in every movie.
That would be amazing. Bro, I would be so interested in that series, and then like the end of the series could be all of them. Bro, like, don't even jazz me up. That sounds exciting.
I can't believe I got you excited about a Stephen Sommers concept that isn't Van Helsing.
I know. Well, hey, look, it's a Universal monster concept, and it's by a director who knows how to have somewhat amounts of fun, I guess. So, like,
bear in mind, viewers, this is a guy who thinks that Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is the best of the 3.
It is, because the first 2 are not great, and the third one is really exciting, which is not a Stephen Sommers movie, which is really weird. But
yeah, it's a Rob Cohen movie. You know who he is.
I think the best possible Mummy 3, if Stephen Sommers stayed on, would be to just bring in Van Helsing and have Van Helsing fight the Mummy, and that's how you end this saga.
They're both characters with poorly explained destiny subplots.
Exactly. So merge them, and you have one okayly explained destiny subplot, and also they're in different time periods entirely, so it doesn't make any sense. But
just put friggin' like gray in Hugh Jackman's hair.
No, he's an archangel. Just be like, I'm immortal.
Oh yeah,
he's like hundreds of years old. He's fine. But yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. 20 years ago, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's never gonna. The closest they got to doing something like that again was like that Invisible Man script I mentioned.
Oh yeah,
where he's like a spy.
Yeah,
in like Victorian era.
Yeah, which is really funny because it's similar to League
or Invisible Agent.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I don't know. I think Universal monsters, their movies right now, the way that they can kind of like get back in the game is to just make like those big monster rally movies again, those big monster mashes, because those will get like people talking like, holy shit, all these people are in the same movie, let's go see it.
Just bring back Griffin with no explanation.
Yeah, like you really think like if you made like a Frankenstein movie today, it does not make $50 million opening weekend. Same with like a Wolfman movie. But if you put Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Invisible Man, Mummy all in the same poster, that makes $100 million opening weekend. I'm sorry.
All right, what if they do it with the implied Hugo Weaving Wolfman?
Bro, please. He's like easily the best part of that movie. So I'm kind of lukewarm on that movie too, but like, yeah, he was amazing. So bring him back. Why not? What the hell else is he doing? He's not even doing Matrix 4. So bring him back. So
bring him back and make him a 5 tricks.
My 5 tricks, please, which they're probably not going to make. But
no,
we got to loop it back. Transylvania. This script is so stupid. Of the screenplay archaeologies that I've guested on, it's probably my least favorite.
So it beat Dark Universe Van Helsing.
Yeah, at least Dark Universe Van Helsing, like, I can see it being made, and I can see the budget going to some fun effects and fun action scenes. Whereas, like, in this, the characters are, like, negative dimensional. And you can't possibly have pulled this off with a television context, because even if you don't use CGI, which we keep talking about, if you do this practically, it's still going to be so expensive, and you can't apply 6 hours of makeup every morning to a TV show budget. Like, Penny Dreadful had to have, like, some serious, careful time and precision with putting on the Wolfman when they did the Wolfman stuff. They had to...
And even then, the Wolfman makeup wasn't fantastic.
No, yeah. I mean, it looked pretty much as good as Werewolf of London looked. It looked pretty spot on, but even then, it didn't look as good as, like, 2010's The Wolfman. obviously.
I just realized he was an American Werewolf in London in that.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I like Pretty Dreadful quite a bit. The finale was a little disappointing. This. Oh yeah, it's so much better than this. This is. I don't think I'd be interested in it. I mean, I'd be interested in like reading if Stephen Sommers ever wrote a second or third one. Yeah, sure, I'd want to read it out of curiosity.
I wouldn't know if I'd want to do an episode though.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because like unless
it was like 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, if they wrote the whole season, then yeah, well, obviously that's plenty of content to get into.
God, I would not want to do 12 more of these.
I will. Don't you worry. I'll take over the reins for a day.
But okay, so what happened with this basically is that based on what I was reading, it sounds like they had kind of like, it was even like months before the movie even came out, they had kind of cooled on this idea. And NBC was like, they considered it too expensive, and they went, it's not that we don't like it, but we feel like we're not the right home for this pilot. Like, they can shop it elsewhere if they want to.
With these universal license characters. Well, no, never mind. They're not universal license characters. Anybody can make anything with any of those characters, and there's no Larry Talbot. So you're fine.
Well, no, Universal could take it to another TV network.
Right, exactly. So there doesn't have to be like deals in place or anything like that. You just got to, exactly. That's fine. I was going to say like, oh, well, they own everything, but they don't, because the pilot episode has nothing in it that like Universal like flat out owns, It's not really based off an IP they have.
Yeah, but even then, Universal could still take it to another TV network.
Well, yeah. We're saying the same thing in different ways.
Like, it's not owned by NBC.
No, yeah. It almost was, but it wasn't.
I just remembered NBC had a Dracula show, like, 2013-ish?
I honestly can't tell them apart. I feel like there's a new Dracula show every 2 years.
Yeah, there was that. There was the BBC Netflix show, which wasn't that bad.
I love the first 2 episodes of the Dracula show.
The 3rd episode I thought was good, but like it should have been 2 episodes.
I really hated the end link twists with like, he's not weak to any. I don't even care about spoiling it because it's not a good twist. Like it completely undermines the previous 2.
Oh, that's psychosomatic?
Yeah, like it I don't like that at all.
What's gonna be funny is that's gonna sound even better when I splice in your audio.
Well, you can get me authentically going on the microphone.
Like 5 times now.
Exactly. I'm glad I can gift that to you. No, I was
It's not me it's being gifted to. It's everyone who's listening.
Oh, yeah. Quote, gift. It's really more of a curse. But
Quote, listening.
Quote, listener. Hey, same, man. You get 1,000 subs. It sure feels good on paper. That's it. But, yeah. No.
It only feels good on paper.
Pretty much. Transylvania is not a show that I don't think anybody would watch it. Even if they did have magical money that could just fund this, I don't think they'd get any eyeballs on this. I don't think it would be successful.
Not in 2003.
No.
Or 4.
No.
I feel like now if they did something like this, like it would probably find a home on a streaming service somewhere.
I think the only hope for this would have been if Van Helsing was received well and they rewrite it to be in continuity, then you could market it as an offshoot of that. That's the only way.
But they had already passed on it well before the movie even came out.
Right, so it was kind of dead in the water anyway.
Yeah, it had a stake through its heart.
Made of silver and or steel.
A sprig of holly.
Yeah. Yeah. Not holy water, though.
So, no.
But, yeah.
Holy water also apparently works on Freddy Krueger.
Does
Fun
it?
fact.
That's
they
odd.
They use holy water. Well, they spritz holy water on his grave and that. In one of them.
So he's what, satanic? Because I just imagined him as like this weird thing that just wasn't
he's
even
like He's a dead guy.
Yeah, exactly. A nice, cool dead guy. Like you don't need to explain it too hard, but they did in the remake.
Oh, in the remake where it's like, oh, he's a good guy. No, he's not.
No, he's fucking not. Way to make him less interesting. But no, in any case, yeah. No, I was not hot on this script, and yeah, I'm standing by that it's the worst one. Which means that my favorite one is still Escape from Superman or Plastic Man, maybe.
Plastic Man was better than Superman.
Yeah. Plastic Man, then Supermax, then Van Helsing, then this. So, yeah, I'm 0 for 4. Well, I'm 1 for 4. I kind of like Plastic Man.
I can't wait to make you read the first of the the early mummy drafts.
You keep bringing up these stupid mummy drafts, but
Hey, you slotted yourself as the Universal Monster guy.
I know I like Monster Mash stuff. I like stuff with multiple. Does Dracula show up? No, But what's really interesting though is that even if I did want to, I believe you are already beholden to your next episode, and it is also going to feature me. If I can throw that out there, I don't know if you want that.
And it will probably take the crown from this one.
Mm-hmm. And again, you can cut this out if this doesn't work, but I'm calling Ian in this moment.
Oh my god, this is probably not going to work.
No, it's probably not.
Oh my god.
Oh, here we go. Okay. It's only 7:30 at night where I am right now, so he's probably not asleep.
It's only 6:30 where I am.
Oh yeah, you're an hour removed? Yeah, that's right. I always think you're 2 hours removed.
No, I'm not in the Rocky Mountains.
You could have fooled me.
That John Denver is full of shit.
Please leave your message for 5.
Oh, I had to hang up.
Don't give
I almost
him. Don't
fucking
give out his
revealed
phone
Ian's
number.
phone number.
We just know it's a 5. You just have to
Shit.
randomly guess all the other numbers.
Yeah. Have fun guessing the other 9 numbers of Ian's personal phone number. That's so funny though. If he calls back at any point, then I'm definitely gonna put that in. But no, that's really funny. I'm really glad
How
I
long
thought
do
about
we
that.
wait?
Oh yeah, but no. So that sucks. But anyway, so that means we're not gonna reveal what it is, but the audience listening, you do know that next episode it is going to be KiramidHead, me, and my good buddy Ian Mello from Hot Quality Content guesting on reviewing a subject probably near and dear to our hearts. Probably, maybe also hilariously stupid. We'll get there when we get there. You'll see what we mean.
Specifically, and one of them will be specifically near and dear to his heart.
Yes, and the other one super distant from his heart, I assume. So, yeah, I cannot wait.
Yeah, you've gotten hints. I'm going to give you another one. No monkeys.
No monkeys in either script. Well, actually,
maybe.
Actually, I take that back.
Maybe. Okay, let's just stop.
Let's just stop. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, so that's as always, KiramidHead. It is
More stuff I'm going to have to cut out.
Yeah, exactly. But as always, it has been an absolute honor to guest on your show. I have nothing but a blast doing this kind of stuff. And you guys, well, if you guys are his audience, then check out my stuff at Hot Quality Content. We do some awesome commentaries there. And if you're a Hot Quality Content guy clicking a link that I sent to listen to his show, then check out his channel. He's got some great dissections on some awesome unmade and unproduced movies, and then some random Let's Plays every so often.
Yeah, some really low effort Let's Plays.
Hey, that's what all Let's Plays really are, deep down.
And also, by the way, there actually is new stuff on Jake's channel now.
There is. It's about damn time, too, in the immortal words of Lizzo. That
the latest video is one where I could only reply with, what?
Dude, okay. Wow, Passengers 2008.
Let's not get it. Let's get into this after the recording.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah.
So yeah, until next time, guys.
Yep. I've been Jake from Hot Quality Content. See you later. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh, that's awesome. So I'm on with KiramidHead right now, and we just ended our show, but the audio can hear me and you, so that's fine. But I'm hitting record real quick. I wanted to ask you a question, and KiramidHead can put this in his show later if I force him to. It's like a minute long. But so of those two things, which don't name them, that you and I are gonna do, which do you want to do first? And you can name that.
Okay. I think we should do the hit film first, and then we can do the show after.
Okay, that reveals what they both are. So we are going to do the show, the movie first. All right, so KiramidHead, if you're going to put this audio in, we are officially doing the unwritten, the very written, unproduced Green Lantern script that would have tied in, I believe, to The Flash? Maybe?
Is it still Ryan Reynolds?
I know. I think, was it Jack Black was supposed to be in it?
That is a terrible choice.
He's not recording. You can only hear our voices. That's fine. But
That is such a bad choice.
Yeah. It was written by the guys who did the Arrowverse shows, so it's probably just as good as those.
Some of those are fine.
Yeah. So this is the Jack Black version, KiramidHead? Okay, it is. Okay, so we're getting the version that they wanted Jack Black to star in as Green Lantern, as Hal Jordan?
I don't get it.
Oh, it's even better. It's an original character getting the lantern ring.
That's worse.
That's what.
That's not even that's worse.
You'd rather him be Hal Jordan.
Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, Alan Scott, anything but an original character, it doesn't make any sense.
All right. Oh my god.
Oh, that's awful. I cannot wait.
All right, bet. Well, we'll do that when you show up on the show. So see you later, Chief.
Yep.